Welcome, friends of all design, to Elevator Pitch, and today we're going to be talking about guns!
Yay!
Oh, I actually got the camera. Good work. I am your host, Paul, and joining me today is my ever-present friend, James.
Hey, everyone.
And today we'll be talking to Aaron Grove, creative director at Blowfish Studios. Hello there, Aaron.
Hey guys, how you going?
Very well, very well. Now, you're here today to talk to us about Gunscape, and I'll pull that camera back down. Very good, very professional. Tell us about Gunscape, Aaron.
Cool, okay. Gunscape is a sort of a first-person shooter style game that you can create your own worlds, create your own sort of maps, and it's looking back at all the classic first-person shooter games that happened back in sort of the 80s, 90s, and the idea is to sort of allow people to just create like deathmatch, CTF, single-player games, story-based games, like a whole bunch of user-created content, so that they can sort of relive those moments or create new moments. So it's basically a huge user-created first-person shooter style game.
And you go on kind of 80s to 90s, so it's like a broad spectrum of kind of technology over that. So how did you find an art style that kind of fits in the middle?
You know, it's really difficult because during that period, a lot of games, I mean, 3D games in general sort of progressed from being sort of sprite-based early Doom-style games all the way till, you know, like Unreal Tournament, Quake, where they got really advanced, really high-res 3D graphics. So for us, it was this sort of pull and pull situation as to like, do we keep it sprite-based or do we go full 3D? And I think something like, I mean, when you look at the game, there is a sort of essence of it looks a little bit Minecraft-y, and that sort of was a little bit sort of helpful because it allowed us to sort of concrete the graphics and say, we're going to go for this pixel look, which is that sort of early Doom and very early Wolfenstein sort of look, but we're going to make it 3D. So we're kind of meeting those sort of two creative areas in the middle, and that's sort of where we ended up. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got those sort of low-resolution textures, which kind of give it that slight pixelated look, even though it's not. It's sort of on a polygon. So when you were first making this, did you approach it as a construction kit first, or did you approach it as we want to make a shooter first?
That's a really good question. The lead game designer, he developed it first as a sort of a I think it was sort of like a homage to Wolfenstein, I think, and I guess he was trying to create his own sort of Wolfenstein level creation system, and then we just sort of ran with that idea. Just trying to think. I think it's creation first, really, rather than playing the game. I think we want people to just create stuff.
And this is actually kind of very similar to an idea that I prototyped a while ago, and the reason that I started doing it was because I actually loaded up Catacomb 3D, the old Carmack game, and I was kind of surprised at just how much fun that really simple shooting was. Like just having, you know, it was nothing but a maze game running around and shooting, and it was surprisingly fun when modern shooters have sort of all this complexity to them.
Yeah.
So when you're sort of deciding on where to put the shooting, it's sort of, you know, we've on one end we'll have kind of Wolf, and I'm assuming on the other end you've even got references to things like Halo.
Yes.
But where do you kind of think you sit in terms of like the shooting for people?
I think we're trying to go back to the more earlier games, because I think for a lot of us agree here that the more modern shooters have just become a lot more complex, and it's almost like there's sort of too much stuff going on. They're no longer really shooters. You can sort of suddenly jump into airplanes and helicopters and do all sorts of crazy things. And one of the games that we all love here is GoldenEye 64, and the worst controller system ever. But it was just one of these games that was just awesome, right? Anyone who ever played it and really got into it just loves it, right? And I've got like, got old controllers sitting here in front of me, right? So we've got GoldenEye stuck in the Nintendo right now, and it's just one of these games that has this sort of very simple game mechanic, which is just like you said, it's just a shooter. There's no extra frills on it. It's like vanilla shooter. It's the original sort of shooter style game.
Yeah.
Well, you
And I
go
think
back
that's
to
what-
the
yeah.
oh, sorry. You go back to the older style multiplayer games, and especially GoldenEye. Look at that, very blocky levels, very simple geometry, but it sort of let the gameplay be a little more free flowing, and you weren't distracted by the fact that we're in a base and we're physically doing this and everything. These days, the fidelity almost is distracting. So seems more focused on that pure gunplay, which reminds me very heavily of Quake and especially Unreal Tournament stuff. A lot of the levels. In fact, the other day you uploaded a video of a fan had made CTF Face from Unreal Tournament, which
we were. I don't know how we found that. There was there was a bug in the menu, so people couldn't actually see that level, and I was sifting through and I found it, and I found it and I said, "Oh my goodness, check this out! Right, this is so awesome!" I went in there, I was running around in it, and I loaded it up so that people could join in. And I think other people were like, "Where the hell did this level come from?" And it's like, and that's part of it, I suppose, is people just create stuff which you'll just go, "Oh man, can't wait till we implement CTF," which is I think in at the moment. But it was just one of those levels which was it brought back a lot of nostalgia of playing too much Unreal Tournament. It's just one of those sort of things. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so far we've seen a lot of we've seen a few like sort of recreations, or at least made in the same spirit as old games. Or anything. How complex are the levels going to be that people can make?
I've heard that they can be pretty huge. Glenn, the lead game designer, says that if you want to travel from one end of the world to the other end, just like say walking, it'd take you a good couple hours. So people can make pretty massive worlds. One of the things we're joking around here is if you could create a huge map and you could leave yourself in the map somewhere and you could just keep running it for 48 hours as if it's like an MMO. So you could actually just create a huge universe and just have people log in, do something, then log back out. So it's kind of one of these funny things where it could be an MMO, but I mean, obviously that's not the intention at the moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is that sort of possibility,
And how many people can be on the map at once?
That's a very good question. I think maybe 16 at the moment.
Okay.
It could just be a limit we're putting on it for now, just because we don't want to stress it too much. But 16 is all right for a CTF or a death style game.
Yeah.
So, and you can limit it. You don't have to have the full 16. You can say I only want 4 people on this map because the map's too small to have 16 people. So,
yeah. And you've mentioned deathmatch obviously and capture the flag, but there's also on the Kickstarter mention of like non-playable characters in the map. There's like a dinosaur that walks through and such. What about integration of those into a map? What sort of things will people be able to do with that, or what are you hoping they'll be able to do at least?
Okay, yeah. So at the moment, a lot of people have seen it as, I guess, Quake deathmatch, which is sort of not really what it is. It just so happens that is the tools that we have at the moment is like we have the Quake set in there, but things like the dinosaurs, which are sort of from an inspired Turok style game, the idea is you could just build a single player level with dinosaurs, put them everywhere, and as a single player character you can run through, set up little scenarios, people could try and kill the dinosaurs, and the next thing you could teleport into a Star Trek ship. So, and you could probably make that like a single player level if you wanted. So that's the idea. You can sort of mix and match whatever you want. So you could have a Halo looking world. You could then teleport to a Quake looking world, and then you could teleport to say a Turok looking world, and that could all be in the one game, in the one map.
Will the creators have much access to scripting tools and such? To make more compelling single-player campaigns and such?
Scripting tools, no, but there is going to be like a sort of key switching system which allows you to do kind of complex things in terms of like it's kind of like a trigger system. So there will be a trigger system which you can sort of assign triggers to certain values, and when those triggers obviously do things, and then it will make other things happen. I think that's at the moment that's as complex as it gets. I think the idea is it's trying to create a simple map making tool, because you don't want to sort of get the user too confused with too much crazy stuff. and then suddenly you isolate all the advanced users from, sort of the general users, and you still want the general users to be able to make really cool, interesting maps. And I think that's one of the things we've seen with, I guess, games that come out with, say, map making tools is they're very advanced, very complex. So you have people who are probably actually really good map makers. They just don't have the time to actually go through all that complexity to make a good map. But then you get all these guys who are very good at all the weird sort of technical stuff, but they make really crap maps. So we're trying to find a fine line between giving you enough tools to make really cool stuff.
And that's one of the things that gets me excited about this project is that, you go back to sort of the early 90s or late 90s, when we had Doom and Quake, making maps was something which is reachable for people. Whereas now the fidelity's gotten so high that, a hobbyist can't really go make a new map. It's just because the asset requirements are way too high. And sort of going back means that we kind of getting back to that point where we can. So given that the content creation is a pretty big part of it, can you just explain a little bit about what the process is of making a level?
Okay, so we're pretty much looking at sort of, or adopting the way Minecraft do it, but except, having said that, you don't have to go mine all your little pieces and then sort of build them. It's more about, you sort of like right-click, hold on, do you right-click or left-click? Forgotten now.
You click.
Right, you click, right? You click like you're shooting a gun, right, and it places cubes, okay? And then if you click the other button, which is like, say, your alternative fire, it actually removes cubes. It's really super easy. Like, it's once you actually get into it and actually making a map, you realize it is actually crazy easy. At the moment, we're sort of refining the UI to make it a lot easier or a lot more simple. But I can't explain how simple it is, and once you actually start putting down cubes and you can see it, and then you press the test button and you get loaded to test mode, you can run around and see where things are, you kind of get hooked for a couple of hours just trying to create your own little world, and it's pretty cool. I mean, some of the stuff that people create is just like I can't, like, how the hell do they do that, or geez, that's huge, like how much time do they spend doing that? So
and it's cool. I'll be able to make stuff with friends as well, won't I? Yeah,
so the two of you guys could sort of join up and just say, hey dude, come and join my map. He'll come in, and then you can say, all right, you start on the enemy base, I'm going to start over here, and you guys can sort of start building away.
He's just going to do a cock. That's all that's going to happen.
But it's going to be really good. It's going to be jump out of the bottom, and you're going to shoot out the top.
The thing is, you're not the first ones to do it. It's already in there. There is already a giant cock in there already.
That is my metric on how kind of good a creative system is. If I can make a cock, then like it's good enough. Like it's reached those limits of creativity.
Well, I actually haven't heard it referred to as like a metric with this, like the launch to penis measure of a creative tool suite. So how long does it take the users to make that initial terrible penis? Yeah,
well,
that's just how good your tools are.
You can vote on people's maps. So if you don't like the instrument that they build, you can make your own version and make it bigger and better, right? You could. So the tools are there, and you could hopefully people vote for your one.
Now, one of the interesting things about this also is structure-wise, like payment-wise and everything, to play the actual game itself, if you're just wanting to play the maps and such, that's free, am I correct in saying? And then it's paying...
So that's totally free. So one of you could sort of, or you can just jump in right now, play the game, download it, you can play, it's free to play. What you're basically paying for is more tools and more features to create more maps or different sort of game modes. So we'll obviously release a couple of game modes free, but they're more advanced game modes, more advanced features, more advanced AI, bosses, different kits, I guess. So like, say for example, if we're going to do a Halo-inspired kit, well, that might have a cost involved with it. So we'll release a couple of kits, so you can obviously go ahead and just build a bunch of stuff.
And those kits, they're more targeted at the content creators, right? Like if I don't care about content, I just want to play levels. I never have to buy a kit. I just jump in.
Exactly, and if someone builds a kit using paid content, you still see that. So you can still see that level. You're not locked out because he's gone and built it with special stuff that you haven't paid for. No. Once someone's built a level, you totally get access to it. Or if they publish it, you get access to it.
Mm.
Yeah, but you can't edit it yourself. You can obviously just play it, but you won't be able to go in and actually change his level. So that's something we're also making sure is that, because some people, they make cool levels and they don't want everyone else to go rip off their level and just go add a few extra little blocks and then republish it again. You sort of can't do that. So.
And because I was thinking, it's on one hand it's kind of nice when people can kind of iterate on something. So if someone wants to go, look, I like face, I want to do face 2, so I want to kind of iterate on it. But we kind of already have that collaborative building in there, because you can just invite someone in. That person could contact that person or something, right? And say, look, I want to come in and tweak it, and I've got some ideas. So you can get that kind of collaborative iteration on something. But
exactly, they could
find ideas.
Yeah, exactly. They could find each other on the forums, or maybe somehow we'll put it into the game. There's a way maybe you can contact people, and you can then just start up a collaborative, build of his level. You might have some great ideas, and he's like, yeah, cool, let's do it. Let's jump in and help me build it. So even though he owns the level, he can invite you in. You can go and place all the blocks where you think are going to sort of improve his level, and then he can save it and then republish it back up, and then bang, there you have it. Your edited version of his level. So it's cool.
Sounds really cool. And so also in this, you've got I think 38 legally distinct weapons.
At present, I think there's 12 in the game, or 4 at the moment you can use, but the idea is to just keep expanding it. We have a lot of suggestions on weapons from people that have been playing it, and it's one of those things where we just don't need 8 shotguns, because shotgun kind of does the same thing across the board, but there might be different flavors of shotguns. So we're trying to pick, the way the weapons work is we're trying to pick the best of the weapons from games that we really think the shotgun was a cool shotgun. So things like Quake, I mean, everyone will remember the shotgun from Doom. Everyone will remember the shotgun from Doom. So that shotgun is sort of in there, but slightly changed. So it's not the exact shotgun. So, we can't exactly just go and rip off the original games. We need to sort of still, keep it similar so people still get a similar feel, which we're getting, but we also need to make it our own content.
Well, yeah, I just pulled up a few of the character designs here, which I think it really shows off the, we know what it is referencing, perhaps, but, not so much that it's, I like to call him Big Uncle.
Big Uncle, yeah, that's him. Big underwater uncle. Yeah.
It's still but no, yes, a very good job walking that line of still being creative and having your own input whilst referencing those original things to an extent that we can recognize them, and it gets that little nostalgia pump without just having to go back and do the same thing again.
Yeah, it's kind of like fan art that's taken to the next level, where you really like the game and you think it's really awesome. So you're sort of paying your props to the fact that, hey, look, this was a cool game. These were cool weapons. You had cool creatures. But obviously, we're not going to just go and, just take them and dump them in our game exactly how they were. We're gonna create our own versions of them, and they'll sort of act the same, but they'll still be different. But when you put them into, say, like the universe with that theme, it will feel like you're actually in that original game. So, and that's kind of what we want people to feel.
And you also give it a consistent art style. When if you took Master Chief and threw him in sitting next to Doom Guy, it'd look a little strange.
Yeah, so that's totally exactly like if you get Wolfenstyle, which is like a really bright, weird palette of like 16 colors or something, and you stick them next to Master Chief, which is like 3,000 polys and lots of bones. It just looks totally bizarre. So we need to sort of, it's kind of like we're getting Wolfenstein and making it look better, and we're getting Halo and sort of dropping it down so they all sort of sit in the middle.
I noticed you avoid the words making it look worse. But
that'd be awesome.
I just want to do like the game museum level where each room of the museum is based on each of the art packs and everything. So suddenly you're jumping between art styles. It's just another one of those nice referencing sort of arts.
I have my own scene that I use testing the weapons in, and it's called the Weapon Test Facility, and it all looks like Portal on the inside, but then it has all these rooms that span off this one big room, and they all go into each of the different game types, and each of those suddenly it's like your own little. It's kind of like the holodeck on the Star Trek, right? So it's kind of like you go in and it suddenly now looks like yeah, Wolfenstein, or you go in and it suddenly looks like Doom or something. Now it's pretty cool though. But that's the thing, people can go and do that kind of stuff, you know. And that's what we're hoping people will do, is just crazy creative things that people wouldn't think of.
Now, talking of the less... Oh, sorry.
How many...
We all start talking at the same time. Let's do it for a third time, James. Let's keep going.
How many
you know I was just waiting to shut you off. You asked.
Yeah,
you asked the question. Go for it.
How many maps have you had made so far?
Oh. Published? Well, maps made is, I guess, different from published maps. Who knows? Everyone probably makes about 5 or 6 maps. Might only publish 2 or 3 of them. Actually, you know what? I could probably check right now, but I can. But I'm sort of in a different scene at the moment. Let me have a look. If you just bear with me, let's have a look.
Plus, you've got a video conference call open, and that's just distracting.
Oh my gosh, and the sound might just go. Okay, apparently I'm on an older version, which makes no sense, but okay. Last time I checked, we had at least. Yeah, let me just ask someone. Hold on. How many maps do we have made so far already? Do you think published? Yeah, published. 80. Well, about 70, 80 maps published. It's quite a lot, actually. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good number.
And that's, I mean, it's obviously the more people that play, it just is going to grow. So there is a system of how do you find the good maps and the ones that aren't that awesome. And there's also there's like a filtering system. So you can obviously say, well, I want to play deathmatch, so I'm only going to show deathmatch, or I want to play CTF, I'm only going to show CTF. And then on top of that, you can kind of, there's a way of voting and ranking. So once you play the map and you go, oh, that's pretty awful, then you can give it a thumbs down, or promote it.
I almost also want to subscribe to people. I want sort of people to curate content for me.
Yeah, some people are like really good at making maps, so there definitely will need to be a way to say, I want to look at maps made by this particular person. Or like you said, I'm going to add them somehow as a friend, and then I want to see my friends' maps. The filtering system at the moment needs work, but there definitely will be ways of doing such things like that. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think we're even looking... Oh, no, okay. That's right, go ahead.
You finish your thought. Your thoughts are more important.
No, I mean, look, there's so much to do. There's plenty more to do. I think one of the features we've sort of talked about here is, like just ways of also promoting user content. So if people do make cool maps, we obviously want to promote that and say, hey, this map's like map of the week or something like that. Things like that. So we want to definitely promote the user's content somehow.
That sounds good. I like that. What about dedicated servers or LAN play or options like that, which traditional in first-person shooter in the olden days, not so much these days?
Yeah, no, LAN play is something that we're definitely looking into. We think it's one of those things like back in the day before internets were any good, we played LAN at the office. After work you'd sit there and have like 8 guys play whatever, Unreal or Doom or whatever it is. So it's definitely something we want to look into, because we think it's going to be pretty easy. It's an easy download. You just download the game, you just run it on anything. The game practically runs on any crappy machine. So yes, LAN play we're looking into. The other one, which was, so what did you say?
Dedicated servers.
Oh, dedicated servers, yeah. That's more complex, I guess, because we haven't really looked into that side of it that I understand. But it is one of these things where you don't really need dedicated servers at the moment. But if it's a feature that we find the users really, really want for some reason, because they want to somehow put a collection of maps down. So how like Unreal Tournament, the servers used to sort of play like 5 maps in a row and used to sort of cycle through the maps. At the moment, there isn't a way to do that, but the guys are probably thinking of a way to do it. So it's a case of how do we do that without dedicated servers? I think it's one of these games where you can just start up a game without the server running and just bring people into it, which makes it easier than having a dedicated server. So, there are pros and cons to it. We'll just have to see.
So currently you are on Kickstarter. You've about a little over a week, like almost 2 weeks into your run. How are you finding your Kickstarter experience so far?
Tough. It's It is tough actually. So I think Kickstarter's it's a great tool. You know, it's a great platform for getting it out there. I think for us personally, I think it was a case of we need to just build our community. You know, we need to get guys like you on board and sort of like be excited and pumped about the game and all the people that are pumped about the game, and then Kickstarter. But you know, look, if it succeeds, that'd be awesome. But I mean, if it doesn't succeed, we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll continue making the game the way we're making it and adding all the cool features, and we might just Kickstarter again, you know, in a couple of months when we feel we've got more momentum and more, you know, more people on board. So it's not really, you know, it's a learning experience. You know what I mean? You learn from failure. You can't win all the time. So you know, nothing wrong with that.
And also, Kickstarter can be used just to build community as well.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, no, it is. It's a huge.
I probably wouldn't have heard about this project if it wasn't for Kickstarter, and now I'm excited.
Big time. There are a bunch of people that we've obviously found through Kickstarter, so it's been so far been a pretty good experience. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think we'll draw this to a close now. James, do you have a final question? I'll give you one if you want.
Have you guys thought much about matchmaking?
Matchmaking? Don't think so. What do you mean, though? Like?
So I get matched with players who are as equally crap as me.
That's kind of like one of those advanced features that games have nowadays, and back in the day it never used to be like that.
You just join a server.
Right, exactly. You just join, and if you get your ass whooped, you just find another one. No, I think it's one of these things where if you're not a good player, you might find that you're better at creating maps, and then you can kind of maybe create the maps to your advantage. I'd say in some weird way, right? I don't know.
I know where the secret room with all the good guns is.
I know where the ammo keeps reloading all the time, non-stop, forever. You know, it's one of those things. You know, you might find, but I don't know. Matchmaking is kind of a bit of a weird one. I mean, it's kind of like how do you rank someone really? At the end of the day, it's people could sandbag it. Maybe there might be tournaments later on. We just have to see. But I don't think it's really that sort of game, but doesn't mean it can't be. So we'll have to see. Yeah.
It has an ability to evolve and grow over time as depending on what the community's wants and needs are.
Yeah, and I think that's what we want. The community feedback will be number one. You know, and if people are suggesting cool things, we definitely take it on board. You know, it's easy for us to implement. Well, when I say easy, it's relatively easy, but we're always looking for ideas from outside, from us.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so James had his last chance. Now it's your last chance. Do you have any thoughts you want to leave viewers with before we close up?
Check out the game. You know, play it, download it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you like it, please donate on Kickstarter. If you don't like it, then please donate on Kickstarter.
And as Aaron said, you run on almost anything. I downloaded it on a terrible old machine at work, which is not for gaming at all, and it ran perfectly.
Yeah, we're trying to get it. Look, we're trying to get it running on just about everything. We think it pretty much will. You know, Mac, PC. I mean, PC is obviously first. Mac, Linux. We're even trying to get it working on Linux. I think it works on Linux. I don't have a Linux machine, so I can't tell you. What else are we doing to it?
The all-important Ouya support?
Maybe one day. We'll see. If there's enough people that want it, yeah, maybe. If there's not, then whatever. But look, play it. I'd say definitely check out both playing a game and creating a game. There's lots of stuff that we're trying to fix at the moment, like the UI. We're just trying to make it a lot easier for people to get into a game and get into making stuff. At the moment, it's sort of at one of these stages where it's very pre-alpha, so it's in development. A lot of the stuff that's in there is just stuff that's sort of jammed in there, and then we come back and fix it. So if you sort of do weird things, don't freak out. You know, it will get better. But yeah, just find a server, play. That's all I can say. Get in there, get into it, and play it.
Gunscape. Play it, it will get better. So no, it's already pretty fun.
It's pretty awesome at the moment.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
awesome
like
at the
it.
moment.
We like it a lot. Yeah, so go check out the Kickstarter, as we're saying. You know, again, when there's a demo, there's no reason not to try it. See if you like it. Get in there. It could end up being a really, really cool online community, especially if we get more people involved, like you guys. For once, looking straight at the camera. I hope it freaks you out. Thank you for joining us today, Aaron.
No worries.
Thank everyone for watching. You can go to our website, NNHalfBit.com, Twitter, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, all that stuff. You can look at Gunscape. Oh, I love it when I say what I put up on screen. And
Hold on. Do I get a question?
Yeah, sure.
yeah, you can ask a question. Go for it.
Do I get like a last question? Is that screen? Is that screen? You know your intro, right? Is that a real game? That picture you have there?
Elevator. Yeah.
Is that really a real game?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
god, how old Elevator would be. Basically, you have to. It's a very old platformer. The elevators go up and down, and you have to make your way across each level, dodging the elevators. Yeah.
See, what's hilarious about this, right, is somebody could recreate this in Gunscape. No could recreate this as like a CTF or Instagib or who knows what. You know what I mean? Like one of those sort of weird levels. Once we sort of add some more features, but you could totally do this. This would work.
We'll try to kill the music. Kill the music. There we go.
Yeah, that looks like our game.
Yeah.
Can there be a CGA pack? I just want nothing but CGA.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing with the packs is like they're not limited to actually old games. They're like say if you like the movie, what's a random movie like Tron? Right?
Oh yeah, all right.
Your Tron pack, right? Let's say if you like I don't know, Wind in the Willows. All right, you could do a Wind in the Willows pack. I mean, we may not, but their options are. They're not limited to just old school games because we want to create content that people would just sort of like go, yeah, that's kind of cool. I might mix it with something else and create my own thing. But yeah, that's what it's about.
Each year, make an Oscar pack. I want 12 Years a Slave pack.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Now we'll really bring it to an end. So thank you again for joining us, Aaron. I've been Paul.
And I've been James.
Thank you everyone for watching. Now we can dance out and put the music on. It's good music. No, it's not.